I'm Kenzie Moss, and this is my first time doing a member spotlight. And today I have Mr. Adam Bowling from USI. Thank you, Adam, for being here today.
Thanks.
So, you are with USI Insurance Services. You are licensed life accident and sickness agent. You do employee benefit consulting, and you are also our GMA Coffee and Connections host.
Yep.
Does that about sum it up for you?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so I am the what Jason would call is the Atlanta chapter director or North Atlanta, I guess, chapter director, and so host that event monthly. Um, we also uh, bring several of our other agents who, support manufacturers in other areas. So I'm the primary contact for USI across GMA.
We love having you a part of GMA. We love Coffee and Connection. So I'm excited to do this interview and get to kind of spotlight who you are and who USI is and just how you help our manufacturer members. So we'll start off with um, what is something the manufacturers in Georgia need to know about you and the services that you provide?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think the main thing is kind of the why I got into insurance and benefits primarily. So I spent many years as a member within GMA, selling software, selling HR technology software, workforce type solutions, payroll, HR, time management. And I just have observed through the marketplace and just as many accounts as I had touched over the years that I feel like people are really underserved in that area. And that kind of like a bad mechanic, right? If
Mhm.
I keep your car a little broken, but I'm the only one that knows what's going on with it, you kind of have to keep coming back to me, relying on me. And I just feel like it's an industry where the marketplace is so vast and it's so hard to keep up with that, people really needed someone that could advocate for them and just be very straightforward and direct and honest with what solutions are available to them, why things cost what they cost. And so that's kind of why I got into it.
I am definitely someone who is very confused by insurance. Um, every year when I have to think about it, I'm like, it seems to never get easier. So even from our conversation before we started the interview, it's starting to make a little bit more sense to me, and it definitely makes sense why manufacturers need a good insurance agent to be on their side and care about them and care about their business. So, what inspired you to focus specifically on manufacturers?
Well, so years ago, I was at a different firm, ADP, and we kind of assessed, performance across the group and determined that all the top performers were industry focused. And so through a process of just interviewing with local leadership. Each rep had to present their case. A lot of people raised their hand and said, I want to work on manufacturing accounts. And I was selected along with one other uh, district manager at the time. And I just kind of ran with it. I've always enjoyed, um, fabrication work. I do a lot of stuff here around the house myself. I would tell you that I'm like a professional tinkerer. Like I could spend all my whole day just goofing off in my garage, messing with stuff, fixing things. So I've always been intrigued by how things work. And, I want to help, keep Georgia on the map, especially for manufacturing.
That's great, and that kind of leads into my next question. I know you have a bunch of success stories, but do you have one specific one that is your favorite success story that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the most recent is not even really it is a success story for us at USI, but also for the group. And but it wasn't, it's nothing I did. I just simply connected two people that needed to meet. So we did. as you know, the brewery tours we've done have been gaining in popularity every time we do a brewery event, which we've done probably quarterly for the last couple of years now. They sell out. We get 35, 40 people at them. They're well attended. It's great networking.
Yes,
It's great
big hit.
fun. Um, and so Jason had asked that I pick a local one. And I just so happened to be living near Atlanta Hard Cider. And um, I've drank Atlanta hard cider before, seen it at the stores near us. My wife likes cider over beer or wine or liquor, so
Hmm.
um, we usually have some. And I thought, who better than them, right? They're local, and just got to learn their story. I didn't know them prior to Jason asking me to find something, so I just did some research, got some contacts, called Mark and Liz, the owners over there. Mark texted me, said, Liz is going to call you back. We want to do this. And it was super straightforward. We set up a tour. They told us their story. We had, I don't know, probably 20 folks show up to the tour. And right there at the end, Mark pulled me aside and just said, hey, like, we're probably underserved, right, with our current insurance. We have a couple different brokers working on it. Would you look at our stuff? I said, sure. And so easier said than done. It was probably a couple months that went by before we got all the documentation. He's obviously running a small business, but when we did, one of our agents, Tyler Beck, on the commercial team, identified that not only was there gaps, like areas where they were just simply not even covered, um,
That's terrifying.
they were also getting non-renewed by the carrier, the primary carrier, and
And
it
what does
wasn't.
that mean exactly?
Yeah, so basically the agent they have had gotten a non-renewal notice. That means just the carrier that they were with was not going to issue a renewal for them. They were going to have to go to the market to find a new carrier, period.
Okay.
Um, I think it was because they had just been renewing as is without any changes. And when you're renewing those commercial lines of insurance, there's a lot of things that go into play, including like your revenues, right? If your sales are going up, you have more exposure. If your payroll's going up, you have more workers' comp. So all those things are at factor, and they just, I don't think, had been a good steward of the plan. And the carrier said, we're not renewing that group. And so it was us who delivered that to the company. They didn't know they were getting non-renewed. And so ultimately it was, we had to deliver bad news, but, for us it was perfect timing because we already had everything we needed to be able to go represent them. And as we did that, we actually added new coverages. They were expanding into new product lines, and with those, it represented a unique risk class. And so by having us, at the, playing quarterback at that time, we were able to put the program in place for them. We got everything bound. There was no like loss of coverage or lapse in coverage. And we actually walked out of the other side of it with better coverage and better structure for the group. Otherwise they would have been uninsured, while trying to grow a business. That's not a place you want to be in, right? So I
Mhm.
think it was a great success. It got a win for Tyler. We played Save the Day for Atlanta Hard Cider, and at the same time, like we made friends in the process. So we're hope to hold that account for a long time now.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really wanted to go to that one. And I definitely think that your relationship going to these events, just showing up, that's probably creating some great opportunities for you and maybe other people at USI as well that may focus on something different. And that's pretty much what GMA wants to do. We want
Yeah.
people to succeed. So I love that story. One thing we talk about at GMA at the networking luncheon and the coffee and connections is the trends. So what is a trend you're seeing right now that's affecting you, and how are you working to overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, in healthcare, I mean, it's notoriously an industry that's very opaque, right? There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen in the United States healthcare system, and everybody along that whole, chain has their hand in the middle wanting a payout. And so
It's
I think
stressful.
it's challenging for anybody. manufacturer or otherwise, um, we're all seeing increases right across the board, and a lot of it is going to continue because of some of the things around the 2025 Tax Act. People have been kind of shifted off of employer plans, specifically high cost folks or folks that have gone on to the Obamacare, the ACA exchange, and enrolled in coverage. Insurers have not been catching up on medical rate where they need it. And so when you've got high cost claims being driven through the healthcare exchange and in the employer space, and with groups, making changes because they're reacting to those renewals, it sets us up in this scenario where, you know, an employer doesn't have a lot of options at renewal other than to do things like trade, plan design, give up some plan richness. Maybe our benefits are too rich, so we give some of that up to try to hold our rates. Well, then what we end up doing to ourselves, you know, is now only the sicker people stay on the plan. And so then I get young, healthy people sitting out because the rates are too high. So we fail to, meet that affordability. And then some of your healthiest, best risk isn't on the plan, which means that they're on somebody else's or they're uninsured a lot of the time. And all that does is create future high cost claims because then you delay care. Somebody goes a couple years without going to the doctor, and then they join a plan when, maybe I'm not feeling good, or I do think I need to get checked out for some reasons. And
Mhm.
so what we're seeing is that, you know, people are frustrated. I mean, people are frustrated in the marketplace and they're looking for new and innovative solutions, right? And so I'd say at USI in particular, that's where we focus on. We focus on new ideas. We don't try to, you know, cookie cutter our approach and do the same old thing. We are there to be advisors and consultants to our clients. And if there are solutions in the marketplace that help, create value for the employee and the employer, and I can help to streamline some things for them, that's what we're going to do. And at the end of the day, like any agent should be able to save a company money. It's whether they're willing to do that or not. So
So, one of the questions that I ask in the Maker's Mic interviews is what makes USI unique compared to other insurance agencies?
yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's probably our one advantage, right? So one advantage is three things. It's our Omni solution, right? The Omni solution is data points across our enterprise where we've implemented solutions. So I can present something to a client and not just, talk in theory. I can show them a case study where we did it and prove the impact, right? Not many brokers can do that. So it's not, you know, it's like show and tell, right? A lot of people tell and tell and tell and tell, but they don't show. With Omni, I can show that. I can actually put that in front of a group, show them the inputs, show them the solution that we're proposing, and show them the output and exactly what they can expect out of it. So that's one differentiator in a big way. The other thing I think is our network, right? So we're a national brokerage, but have experts even down to our local market. I think a lot of firms have those same resources. However, deploying them in the local market seems to be challenging because inevitably there's a queue, right, of people that need that resource, and there's a finite resource, right? Different for us in that I have a population health expert in my local market, in my local office. I can bring a pharmacist into an appointment. If somebody's, spend is so significant, we can do that, and we can do a deeper analysis there than anybody. Same for actuaries and underwriters, right? A lot of people don't know that the renewal they start with might not be accurate, right? We all know that, that's part of this thing in the marketplace that we're all trying to solve for is the renewal I'm getting even accurate, right? And so we can put an actuary and an underwriter to work to make sure that we're starting from a place of accurate renewal. I mean, the last thing you would want would be for your agent to market or try to renew your account starting from a place of an inflated renewal. You don't want to negotiate from an already inflated place. So because of our network of experts, I think that's another one. So the last part is the of the one advantage is E, the enterprise. So the enterprise huddle process. So basically, if I identify a group that I'm working with, I have a way to pull in all the information I have on the group and build on that as I meet with them and as I learn more, that also ties into other aspects of our brokerage, right? Be that property and casualty, retirement services and advisory, HR services. And so we have a unique process there between events where, we huddle internally as a group. And because of the vast solution set we have, the network of experts, and that enterprise huddle process, we have a really unique way for our clients to be able to buy insurance, to buy these solutions. And I think that it delivers tremendous value. There's I think fewer and fewer brokerages out there that can truly stand behind those things. I mean, they have those resources. I won't say that they don't. But to be able to deploy them readily in the local market, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? So I think we have an advantage there.
Um, what size companies do you focus on mainly?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I primarily focus on middle market employers, right? For us, that means anyone with 100 or more folks enrolled on their benefit plan. And then we have groups, that are several thousand uh, employees on their medical plans right here in Georgia. So um, I would say we have arguably the strongest value proposition for companies that are 100 to probably 2,500 lives. That's probably our sweet spot in the marketplace. But we do have solutions for groups that are larger as well as groups that are smaller. That's really where the most pain is in the marketplace. It's in that small group market because they get hit harder than anybody, right? Oftentimes they're not experience rated, right? Meaning like how their plan is actually running doesn't really matter. They're grouped with a bunch of other small employers and they're just seeing kind of standard renewals. So, um, I think we have solutions there as well. We have a select team who effectively are training. They're learning benefits. They're learning in that, small market arena, but they have experts around them who have been doing this for 25, 30 years to be able to guide them as they learn and work on these accounts so that they still have a great experience. And so I think that, for us, primarily my ideal client is 100 to about 2,500 lives.
Good to know. Um, what is, we kind of hit on this before the interview, and I think it's definitely important. What is one myth about your industry that you want to debunk?
Yeah, I think it's this like quoting thing, right? Like I think it's that people believe that we can just turn around and pop information into a computer and come back with a quote. Um, I I, I don't want to say I blame, but I think a lot of that comes out of I think what we see on television and the advertisements we see for insurance related mostly to like personal insurance. Um, you know, for me to quote a employer medical plan, right? There's a lot of information that goes into that. And if I'm going to take that to a carrier, the story I'm telling to that carrier is going to be a lot more believable if I am the broker of record, right? If I'm just, doing some digging and I just want to get some rates, I'm not going to get the best that carrier has to offer. They're not going to believe that they're going to win the business, especially if I'm not already the broker. And so where we try to focus before we get to the rates are kind of the output of the strategy the company's trying to deploy, right? If I can learn what it is you're doing today, what it is you're trying to do with the plan, what the goals are you're looking to accomplish, that strategy is going to determine the rates, right? I don't just come in and race to the bottom with rates. Anybody can do that and probably save money, but you just kind of toss the strategy to the side if that's your approach. So I'd say that's the biggest myth is that, I'm just plugging stuff in the computer, sitting back with my feet up and waiting for quote to come in. That's not necessarily how it works anymore.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't know much about insurance, but that's exactly what I was picturing. So it's funny you said that. And before our interview, I talked to Jason and he was like, there is so much that goes into just one meeting with a client. And it's not just, like you said, just do and boom, your answer. I feel like a lot of people are like to rush things these days, and we have to remember that not all the best things
Yeah.
come um the fastest. Um so a lot of people know who you are from GMA, but I think from hearing all of this, I think a lot of people are going to want to reach out to you. What is the best way to get in contact with you? Would that be phone, email, LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super active on LinkedIn, through GMA specifically. I do a lot of the video content that you see me on. Um, I mean, my profile on the GMA page has my contact info as well. So those are both great resources. I think something I've tried to implement too, because, you know, unlike me, most manufacturers and most people don't wake up every day with like insurance on their mind immediately, right? It's usually when something's wrong,
Mm-hmm.
something's on fire, something's not right, that I start to get that curiosity. And so what I've done rather than, you know, uh, sign somebody up to some list that I, call a million times, I've created a link in my LinkedIn account that is just a form. It's a simple form, and it just simply asks people like, how do you prefer to get in touch? Do you want to call? Do you want to first meet over a virtual meeting? Do you want to meet in person? Do you like morning or afternoon? What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about benefits? Do you want to talk about commercial insurance? Maybe it's HR services or retirement services. You tell us what is important and where, you feel like there's room for improvement, and then we'll meet you where you are. And so that I think is the easiest way is just there's a quick link there, that somebody can get time with us. And it might not even be me that they're getting time with. If they say, hey, I really want to talk about commercial insurance and I spend, you know, $250,000 a year on it, you're not going to talk to me. You're going to talk to Cortland Carmona, who's our mid-market manufacturing practice lead, that I work with through GMA as well. So I will quarterback those things and get you to the right person. But I
And
really
he's
hope it
also
is.
on our directory.
That's also, yeah. So I really hope it is. I want to talk benefits and I want to talk to Adam specifically. But if trust me, you will get to the right person. It is in our best interest to do everything we can to support manufacturers in Georgia, specifically our members, and prospective members of GMA.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for being my first member spotlight interview. You do so much for GMA, and it was a no-brainer to have you on here. So, I'm sure you'll be getting some forms filled out, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.